My neighbor said he's just being entrepreneurial when her son sold substances to kids, so I brought the entrepreneurs to her door. My neighbor's son turned our quiet street into his personal substance empire within weeks of moving in. He started by offering kids study aids outside the middle school where my brother went. Just harmless pills to help with tests, he said with a friendly smile. Except those pills were Adderall he'd stolen from his mother's medicine cabinet. By week 3, he'd graduated to selling his older brother's leftover painkillers to 8th graders. Kids who'd never touched anything stronger than Tylenol were suddenly nodding off in class. The school nurse found 13-year-old Nikki passed out in the bathroom after taking what he'd sold as anxiety medicine. She almost didn't wake up and spent 3 days in the hospital. Then my little brother came home with a bag of colorful pills the kid had given him. Free samples, the dealer had said with a wink. First taste is always free, then we can work out prices. My brother was 12 and thought they were candy until I recognized them as ecstasy. That's when I knew this wasn't just teen rebellion anymore. This was a predator targeting children. My brother didn't understand why I flushed the pills and made him promise to stay away. He thought the older boy was being nice and trying to help him make friends. The dealer had told him all the cool kids took these at parties. My mom and other parents confronted his mother on a Thursday evening after dinner. She answered wearing a business suit and holding a tablet like she was in a meeting. They explained her son was dealing substances to children at school. They showed her text messages from kids describing what he'd sold them. She laughed and waved them off like they were bothering her with gossip. He's just being entrepreneurial, she said while typing on her tablet. Better than sitting around playing video games all day. Supply and demand, basic economics. When they mentioned the girl who'd overdosed, she shrugged without looking up. Personal responsibility. Maybe parents should monitor their kids better instead of blaming mine. She closed the door after suggesting we were stifling young business minds. She said her son showed more initiative than most adults. That's when I realized she saw substance dealing as a legitimate career path. Fine. I'd show her what entrepreneurial spirit really looked like when it came knocking. I told my cousin Noah, who'd grown up in a rougher neighborhood before moving here. Noah knew people who understood exactly how substance markets worked. He listened to me describe the situation and nodded slowly. So, if she likes business, I said, let's bring business to her. Noah made some calls that night to old friends from his neighborhood. The next week started with customers arriving at all hours looking for product. Cars would pull up to her house at 2 a.m. with music blasting and horns honking. People knocked on her door asking for the goods and getting angry when she said she didn't know what they meant. Your boy said this was the spot, they'd insist loudly. He gave us this address. By day 3, her lawn became a gathering place for sketchy characters. They'd sit on her porch steps discussing prices and territories like it was their office. When she called the police, they'd scatter before patrol cars arrived. The activity would resume within hours because business never sleeps. Her mailbox filled with cryptic messages about shipments and payment schedules. People left packages on her doorstep that she was too scared to open. Her phone rang constantly with blocked numbers, asking about availability and making threats when she hung up. She changed her number, but the calls found her anyway. The woman who'd praised substance dealing as entrepreneurship now lived in fear. She stopped leaving her house except for absolute necessities. Her car got tagged with gang symbols overnight. Her garbage cans got searched nightly by people looking for stash spots. She installed floodlights that got broken repeatedly. Week 2 brought police surveillance to her street with unmarked cars monitoring traffic. Neighbors complained about property values dropping and strange people wandering around. The HOA sent violation notices about the disruptive activity. Her house became known as the local substance spot, even though she'd never sold anything. She tried explaining to anyone who'd listen that she wasn't dealing substances. She begged people to believe her and help make it stop. We all shrugged and said her house had become quite the entrepreneurial hub. Maybe she should monitor her property better. Personal responsibility and all that. Her son stopped dealing after the first week of chaos at home. Watching his mother cry as strangers pounded on their door at midnight taught him about consequences. Seeing her terrified to leave the house showed him what he'd been doing to other families. But the reputation stuck, and the traffic continued for weeks. 2 months later, they moved away in the middle of the night without telling anyone. The moving truck came at 3 a.m., and they were gone by sunrise. The new owners were a retired couple who mentioned the previous owner had warned them about business-minded locals. We assured them our neighborhood was perfect for people who kept normal hours and respected the law. My brother never touched those pills and became strongly anti-substance after seeing the chaos. He started volunteering at school to warn other kids about dealers. The woman who thought dealing substances to children showed business acumen learned that some markets come with prices you can't afford. Her son learned that destroying lives for profit has consequences.